Hello again, my friends, and welcome back to an episode of 15-Minute Free Thinking for January 15th, 2023. This will be my, second official podcast of 2023. The last one was about a topic that I can't discuss on YouTube, which was the pandemic. So that one is uploading right now, will be available. This podcast I'm going to make available on both platforms, and this is about mental health, but to the extent of hush hush, you can't talk about mental health. And I hope you'll stick around so I can give you my off-the-cuff take on why this is a big problem. And I'm hoping I can do a decent enough job off the cuff, because I really did no research for this at all. I just sat down and wanted to make it because this is something that's been bothering me for quite a while. During the COVID situation over the last few years, I've been making a documentary. I have all of my parts written out. I have the pictures that I want to put in the documentary. I have photos and videos of the playgrounds with the caution tape over the swings, all the preposterous crap that people went through. And I have mixed feelings on the whole topic, and I wanted to bring that up in conjunction with this because mental health and physical health are both things that are very important to us, obviously. We need to lead good, healthy lives. Therefore, we need accurate information. Because of this, many people believe that they can dictate which information is accurate. And as I would say, what happened with Twitter recently and what they released regarding those files didn't really surprise most of us. We knew that they had been censoring or at least blacklisting accounts that talked about certain topics, whether it be a war, a virus, anything. It could be politically oriented. And yes, there is bias everywhere. Well, the same thing happens with YouTube as well. And most YouTubers know that certain topics are blacklisted, certain channels get banned, but also a lot of them, the algorithm just sorts them out and will tell you they're making them age restricted. Now, if there's let's say you use the R word. And what I'm talking about is the one that has to do with being biased against another race. Just even saying that word will get your video demonetized in certain aspects. There's a whole list and a whole host of different terms and words, hundreds of them, that could get your video demonetized. But certain topics absolutely will, and I've seen it firsthand. It's happened to me. The thing is, I don't see it as often because I don't monetize my videos. And I also don't have sponsorships. I do have Google AdSense, and on some of my old videos that are popular, if I feel like I put effort into it, I'll go back and monetize it later. Might as well get the pennies, right? But other than that, I do this because I like it. And I know a lot of people do these. They have their YouTube channel or their podcast because they use their sponsorships to make money. That's what they do. And a lot of these people do a ton of research all day long. That's what they do. So when you're only getting one side of a story and you're not getting the side from the people who are doing their own research, coming to their own conclusions, you're basically getting a complete false idea of what's really going on in the world. And with mental health, this is exactly what happens. If you talk about this topic, it will get pushed to the back. It won't get on recommended lists. There's a whole host of different ideas you can't talk about, and especially can't talk about if you hold a certain position on it. That is a scary proposition. I think people need to wisen up to it and realize that this is going on, because they don't necessarily have to delete a video to make it unavailable to most people. And viewers and creators, they watch the counts on these videos. Creators can watch when their video plateaued and when it lost all views because they know exactly when it got hit. Now, demonetization, this is a story where I don't so much empathize with the creators, right? If you're making a video about a certain topic and a company doesn't want to work with you or give you ad revenue, that's a whole different story because that's a free enterprise. But when you are being censored on a topic like my channel, for example, where I'm not even monetizing it, and my video gets deleted because they don't believe it's true, that is a problem. And can you imagine how many videos out there, how many different topics and experts, scientists, doctors, musicians, a whole variety of different topics that could be slightly controversial that you never get to see because YouTube wants to show you one side, the side that makes them money. And those are usually the big running, multi-million view videos that have ads on them, especially multiple ads. This is why, even though you know there's billions of videos out there, you can't see hardly any of them. And it's like, it all started with the trending list on YouTube years ago, and it's just gotten worse and worse. And I don't think people realize how bad it really is. To what extent is it? It's on Twitter. It's been on Facebook for years. I don't use Facebook. I don't know why anybody still uses Facebook, but they do it on Twitch. They do it on YouTube. And yes, they're doing it on Odyssey and all the other channels, because social media is there to make money. And this is the thing I think people fail to understand. Like with the Twitter issue of them making money, all their money was off ad revenue. You have to cater to the ad companies or else do it for free and hope that your viewers will donate to you. However, there's a caveat to that. Even if you use Patreon, which now allows actually video uploads, even if you use Patreon to get donations from your people, if Patreon finds out you have controversial content, they can shut you down too. Guess who else can shut you down? PayPal. They've done it to me. They confiscated my money for 6 months one time. Like $3,000 it was my business that I was running. And, it's a never-ending story of being trapped in what some would call the Matrix. It is basically just the current paradigm. It's all electronic. We're stuck in an electronic system, and all of our comments, all of our ideas, all of our, interactions, everything, every single thing we do is documented and saved somewhere on a server. It's pretty crazy when you really think about it. I mean, at least I had kind of a open childhood where I wasn't constantly surveilled. Who would ever think they're good old days before, cameras to catch robbers? It's a different reality and most people growing up today can only see from their own lens, which that's just the way it always is with any generation. So this generation is growing up completely used to the fact that the internet is as sanitary now as television became after they started getting rid of any coverage of the war they didn't like, after the commercials started overtaking television shows. There was a time in the internet when all the founders of the websites and different, home pages, everything, MSN, they didn't want to use ads. In fact, they were completely opposed to using any advertisements. The dream of the internet was to escape that. But we eventually had to cater to that because, we found that humans really didn't want to pay for certain things. We didn't want to pay for all these different services. In fact, that's a whole different topic. The fact that you're paying for internet service itself on a system that was built and maintained by different companies which have traded places, it's hard to say whether infrastructure like cable should be a public utility like anything else. I think we're getting to that point. But anyhow, I believe that the fact that we're forced to have the internet these days means that we should be able to have reasonably priced access to it, but also that we should be able to get actual information on it. It's the bigger issue. We're worried about, which websites are selling to who. What we should really be looking at is what's going on behind closed doors. Who is really running the show, and what things don't they want you to hear and why? And I'm going to tell you, I'm no stranger to conspiracy theories. Because the reason I bring this up is because I feel like some people think of me as a rational voice. They know I'm not. I've always kind of teased around at conspiracy theories, even though I'm a person who, from like the mid-2000s, for like a decade, was obsessed with them. MK Ultra and the different government projects that they had, and all the different experiments the military did on their own people and just citizens in general, spraying shit over cities. Oh my God, look at the coup over here. Look at how they broke this country up. Look at what they did over here. And they started this war with this false premise. I know that there's corruption all the way to the top. And I also know that there's always a push to control what we consume and how we think. But where I draw the line is I don't believe it's a nefarious agenda by a small cabal or group of people. Sure, there's plenty of them out there. But the fact is, it's really several different smaller groups that all have the same interest. get the people in line, and only feed them what's not going to disturb them. The media is not, the fact that the media is controlled by a few conglomerates, and, something that you'd see in a sci-fi movie from the 70s, right? The media is controlled by just a few, one or two really, groups. And within that framework, they only tell you the stories they want to tell you and omit the important ones that would actually affect you, as well as anything that might go against their shareholders. I mean, there's a reason Bill Gates owns, probably hundreds of millions of dollars worth of stake in media, because they don't want to say anything bad about him. That's why so many billionaires invest in media, because it keeps them saying positive things. So, like I've said before, it's omission. So it's lying by omission, basically, not giving the other side of the story, and they wouldn't dare. So yes, it really is that bad. It really is that big of a problem, just in mainstream media. But we're getting now, the only option we had, which was people giving alternative viewpoints, has been drowned out by the likes of people like Alex Jones, who would jump on every story. Sure, when you're screaming 10 bullshit things every day, you're going to come up with one that's right. I mean, there are a lot of conspiracies and truths out there, and a lot of things that are pretty clear as day if you're aware of what's going on. But what happens is when a person jumps on every single conspiracy bandwagon, then people can point at them and say, oh, look at what else they believe. So the guys who are really trying to expose the corruption going on get drowned out by the lunatics, if you will, or the charlatans, because I don't think that, for example, I don't think Alex Jones is a lunatic at all. He's a very smart man. he's of course, comes off as a dumbass, but he knows what he's doing. He's selling his supplements. He's got his racket going, like a lot of people do, but it affects a huge amount of people who start believing the bullshit. So even when the bullshit's exposed these days, nobody cares. And this is what we've realized with the media before. But at least the bullshit should be available, okay? At least, even if something isn't true, no matter what it is, even if somebody has an alternative cure to a particular disease, right? Those things should be available for people to see for themselves. And to call it dangerous information, I think is going quite a bit of a stretch. Now, I'm not going to say that there shouldn't be a line drawn. If somebody posts that they're trying to gather people to go down and blow some place up or something, that's a different story. And yeah, as a society, we know that that's going to harm the whole town and everyone around us. So yes, we need to stop that. Or if somebody's calling on others to harm a group of people. But beyond violence or anything physical, I think people should be able to make their own health decisions. They should be able to make their own decisions on politicians, whether a certain politician's son left a laptop in a, the laptop story was like considered to be fake news, and everybody just smeared it. And of course it turned out to be true. He took his laptop into a repair place and freaking forgot about it, and it had a bunch of crap on it. Like, the politicians are not your friends, okay? And the politicians are the ones who don't want anything bad said about them. So anybody with money and power is going to have their tentacles in companies like Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all of them, and are going to basically probably have access keys. I'm sure that I know that the agency, the CIA, paid something like $3 million to Twitter, and they had a whole staff of people working there so they could sort through and block certain content from reaching people. As to whether you think that's right or wrong, that's up to you. But I firmly believe that while we're trying to drown out any information, even the bad stuff, we're dragging the whole boat down with it. And I think it's going to bite us in the ass when we realize that we've been spoon-fed garbage. A lot of us have already known this. The crappy news story about the latest thing that's good for you and the latest thing that's bad for you and the newest fad, the morning shows, the Today shows, all this crap that just keeps people getting up in the morning, thinking they know what's cool today, going off to their work, coming home, and not ever questioning how their life is truly affected by the bigger picture. Now, I'm not into politics these days at all. I don't believe in voting. I heard somebody say it the other day, like, I don't think we're going to ever legislate our way out of these problems. It just won't happen because politicians are just slow and corrupt. We're going to have to use technology to get ourselves out. So we need the white hats out there, the people who know technology to help us all out, to filter out the bullshit, to allow free speech, but at the same time, use kind of rational judgment as to what is considered violent speech, because like I say, there's going to be some things that people aren't going to want to have posted out there, because there are some violent, horrible people, and we can't deny that. It's a very tricky topic, so I'm curious to know what y'all think. Leave a comment if you're on YouTube, and if you're listening to the podcast, I appreciate your time, and check out some of my other podcasts. I will talk to you all next time. If you'd like to donate, you can contribute on Patreon. It's patreon.com/Carpo719. And I also have another channel just called Carpo, and you can find all the links in all the normal places. Peace out.